Alrighty, so I'm going to do a quick review of the matinee game that just finished about an hour ago because, I had to do the preview for the Sunday game and then also put down the notes in terms of the matinee game that just happened about an hour ago. And even with that, I still have time to do this review before the busy Saturday night action. Well, I say it's busy, but there's actually only going to be 6 games that is going to happen tonight, which is definitely less than previous nights where there's could be times where we have like 8 or 9 games that happen in the busy Saturday night action. But let us actually begin with the first game, which is Austin versus the Houston Dynamo. And for Austin, they have now got more wins on the road compared to their expansion season after getting their second road win in the season and their third road win in franchise history of a 2-1 win against Houston. Though early on, it definitely didn't look like that was the case because after Clark was able to deny Urruti and that on the follow-up ring blast that one high in the second minute, Houston got the opening goal, and it's Sebastian Ferrer scoring from Lundqvist to give the Dynamo a 1-0 lead, and this is basically the goal of the week. I mean, there is just no question that I know this is only the first game of the weekend's action, but after what we saw from that goal, it's going to take a lot for this one to not be the goal of the week, because this was basically a David Villa-esque kind of chip from 50 yards out, and credit for Fiera basically catching Stuver off guard there and coming off the lines way too much and trying to chip him, but still, the audacity to try to chip him from 50 yards out like that. Not a lot of player that is not named David Villa would able to try to do so, and that chip was also so good that Stuver himself actually got injured in this play. Like, as he was scrambling back to trying to tip that one over the bar, he basically ran into his own net, and it seems like his knee basically kind of bended badly as he basically was falling down in the net. And yeah, let's just hope that he, of course, is okay, because that has to suck. The fact that not only you just give up a absolute golazo by the opposition by chipping a 50-yard shot over your head, but you also get injured in the same process. So Tarbell, of course, comes into this game, and in the first action, the former Quakes goalkeeper, he was able to deny Karaskia from close range. In Houston, you knew that they had the momentum, because now that they have the backup goalkeeper and the fact that they have the 1-0 lead, they were hungry to try to get a second goal. Pereira then flashed one just wide for Austin, as that was I was going to say the first opportunity that Austin has, but they actually had an earlier opportunity in this game too. There was a shout for a penalty for Houston, not given. Hadabi almost redirect a ring shot into goal, and that, we know that teenage Hadabi has scored own goals this season. He almost scored a second one in this one when he redirect this one toward his own goal, but Clark was able to get to it. But there was no doubt that Austin was trying to press for the equalizer, and whatever momentum Houston had early, yeah, it was pretty much gone. Urruti puts one just wide in the 28th minute. Parker poked a shot that actually went wide, though it did not went wide by much. I mean, this was one where, Tarbell, I thought he was not in a good position here, and that Parker, even though he put a weak toe poke shot, it actually almost trickled into the back of the net. And if that, of course, went into the back of the net, you know how I feel of the fact that, yep, see, Austin, this is kind of the Andrew Tarbell that we saw for doing his time with the Quakes, and that's still hard to believe he was a starter for the Quakes for so long, even though he was just a mediocre goalkeeper at best in this league. Though, like I said, Austin was, they were definitely pounding on the door to get the equalizer, and they did in the 39th minute, as Pereira would score here from Finley to make it 2-1, or actually not 2-1, I'm sorry, 1-1 in this one. It would be 2-1 eventually in favor of Austin in the second half. And I thought this one, Clark, I think he probably should have done better in this. Yes, it was a powerful header for Pereira, and that Clark did get a hand to it, but, with how Clark has made those incredible saves before, especially during his time with the Portland Timbers, you would think he should have done better in terms of that play. But nevertheless, it ties the game at one apiece. Pereira almost gave the lead for Austin before halftime, but this time Clark was able to deny him from close range, and we head to halftime tied at one apiece in this Copa Tias match. Now, in the second half, Finley put one wide as the flag went up in the 56th minute, so even if you put that one on target, it wouldn't have counted. But then in the 67th minute, Austin would take the lead, and it's Jerussi scoring for Fagundes and Cascante to give Austin a 2-1 lead. What a goal this was from Jerussi. I mean, if it wasn't for that goal that was scored from Ferreira, you could say that this was probably the best goal of this game, with the way that he just bends this one perfectly, where Clark basically had no chance in terms of saving that one. So, yeah, Los Verde were up 2-1 in this one, though in the 82nd minute, Oferson heads it just wide from 81 yards out. I actually misspelled Oferson on. I forgot the O-N into his name here, so let me just put that. There we go. Yeah, he hits that one wide from 8 yards out, and you would think that he probably should have put that one in, because he did have a free header there, and he just could not connect his neck muscle correctly to hit that one in. Parker then had a shot that was blocked off the line by Gabrielson, as Houston was pushing late to get the equalizer. But in the end, Austin getting their second consecutive victory after they gone a long stretch of not getting a victory on the road, dating all the way back to when they get their historic first ever road win against the Colorado Rapids in only their second game in their existence. But the shots in this one, 9 shots for the 8 that Houston has. Both team had 5 shots on goal, 3 shots off target for the 2 that Houston has. Both team had 1 shot that was blocked, and possession-wise, Austin had the better of the possession. 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Houston has in this game. And, you want to talk about a statement win. In some way, you could say that this is a statement win for Austin, because I know for a while people have talked about how, oh, yes, Austin, of course, is doing well, but how much is that because of a soft schedule, and that, going on the road to Houston, it's not an easy place to get wins and walk away with all 3 points. But the fact that Austin was able to do, especially against one of their rival, I think this is definitely a statement win that they were looking for. Though, like I said, the schedule is not going to get any easier for Austin, and that May schedule, that will really be the one that will determine whether or not if this team is actually just one that is doing well because they're playing against easy opponent, or is this actually a surprising threat in the Western Conference that, nobody thought that Austin would be this good after in the first season. I mean, in the first season, they had a very typical expansion season where they were very respectable, but nobody would have thought that they would go immediately to Nashville SC and Atlanta United, or even LAFC-esque kind of level, where they had really becoming one of the best teams in only their second season in MLS. But that being said, moving on into the next game, we got FC Cincinnati and Toronto FC. And for Cincinnati, I mean, I talked about in the last game against LAFC, where even with the loss, I thought they played well in this game. And I've mentioned before, I feel like Cincinnati is playing much better under Pat Nolan, even though I know they're found themselves back in a familiar position of dead last in the Eastern Conference. And this game basically proves it, because they really play a great road game in this one against Toronto FC. And early on in this one, after Nelson had the first shot on goal that goes straight to Santano, Baji fires one high from long range in the 9th minute before Brenner drags it just wide from close range. And, not only the fact that it was a lively start in this game, it was really a lively start for Cincinnati, as they were looking to try to get that early goal. Osorio then hits one straight to Bono before there was a shout for a handball for TFC in the box that was not given. But just as we thought that we were going to head to halftime scoreless in this one, Ian Murphy scored his first career MLS goal from Hagelin and Moreno to give FC Cincinnati a 1-0 lead, and just a perfect time for Cincinnati to score a goal right on the stroke of halftime, and also in the second consecutive game that they did that, because I remember in that game against LAFC they also scored right on the stroke of halftime. And now the question is, can they carry that momentum that they had scoring a goal heading into the second half and score another one heading into the second half? And the answer this time, well, the answer last time was no, but this time it was yes, though it definitely didn't look like it for the first 5 minutes, because I thought Toronto was on the front foot. They were pressing to try to get the equalizer, but it's Cincinnati, the one that gets the second goal, and it's Lucho Acosta scoring from Powell to give Cincinnati a 2-0 lead. And yeah, this was just not great defending from TFC. Like, to here on the board I said bad defending from TFC, that's just put it lightly. Like, anytime when you concede a goal from a throw-in, you got to question your defense, and that this was just a simple throw-in to Acosta, and that somehow Acosta was just able to find some space, and that you got to question how in the world is a throw-in into the box to Acosta, and somehow he's able to find some space to shoot that one. But nevertheless, Toronto did get one back as Jimenez would score from O'Neal and Bradley to get one back for TFC, because you know that Jesus Jimenez is really becoming a guy that, again, I still have not hear a lot of attention for Jesus Jimenez, a guy that I think he is really now the most underrated striker in the league. And consider, I think he's now leading the Golden Boot race, and yet I still don't hear the appreciation from the media talk about how he's a deadly force for this TFC attack. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, all this guy does is score goals, and all this guy does is every single game he at least will average one goal for this TFC team. Now, Bradley did fire a volley high in the 70th minute, and, Toronto, they were definitely throwing the kitchen sink, and, for Cincinnati, it feels like here we go again, because we know how this team, even if they get a lead on the road or at home, that Cincinnati fans know that it's like, let's see how they're going to blow it this time. And in the first minute of stoppage time, they had a chance to put this one away if it wasn't for Bono robbing Barriel a chance from close range. And that, again, I wouldn't be shocked that if TFC would go on the other way and score a goal to tie the game, or even score 2 goals in extra time to win this one 3-2, because that's been kind of the existence of Cincinnati in MLS. It's been nothing but pain, and that they always find a way to lose game. But in this one, they didn't do that. They were able to walk away with a 2-1 victory, getting their 3rd win this season and getting themselves off the foot of the Eastern Conference in the process. And the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 7 that Cincinnati has. Both teams had 3 shots on goal, 4 shots off target for the 3 that Cincinnati has, 4 shots that was blocked with the 1 that Cincinnati has, and possession-wise, 66% possession compared to 34% possession that Cincinnati has in this game. And again, you got to credit Cincinnati. They are really playing hard under Pat Nolan. And again, I feel like this team is already head and shoulder better than the one we've seen in the first 3 seasons, and that this is definitely a team that I don't think they're going to finish dead last, and certainly will not win Wooden Spoon for the 4th consecutive year. But that being said, moving on into the next match is RSL and the Galaxy, and there was controversy in this game, and I know a lot of Galaxy fans are going to be very angry of that disallowed goal that happened in the 2nd minute of stoppage time that could have salvaged themselves a point in this game against RSL, but I'll explain why exactly that is actually the correct call. But first of all, in the first half, if you miss the first half, you basically miss nothing, because besides Ruiz puts it high from close range as the first shot of this game, not much was happening in the first 15 minutes, or even in the first 30 minutes, because after Alvarez with the Galaxy first shot, but basically punts it into the stands from 30 yards out, shots were only 1 apiece through 30 minutes. Now, eventually, RSL would have 2 more shots, but shots were only 3-1 in favor of RSL heading into the first half. Like, this was just one of your typical MLS game. Well, I wouldn't say typical, but just kind of maybe one of those games that, looks like this. We're in for another bad Twitter game, because I've seen before this season, whenever there's a Twitter game, especially at this time slot, it tends to be incredibly boring. But in the second half, we did actually saw the opening goal of this game, and what turns out to be the winning goal of this game, as Marcelo Silva would score from Ruiz to give RSL a 1-0 lead. That this was not good marking whatsoever from the Galaxy, and they were made to pay for giving up a goal right out of the gate in the second half. Although they almost equalized with Costa trying to tee one up from close range, but that one goes straight to McMath. Glad that heads one straight to Bond, and I also thought that the Galaxy set piece defending has not been great, and I talk about the goal that they concede was not great marking, but here it's also not good marking too. I mean, Glad just got enough there to basically heads that one on target, and the Galaxy could have easily found themselves 2-0 and give up 2 set piece goals just 15 minutes inside the second half. Now, in the 64th minute, McMath was able to deny Alvarez from close range, and this is kind of when the Galaxy started to take over the game. I mean, to be fair, they kind of took over the game for most part because they dominate possession, but this is really when they made those possession counts and started to really press this RSL defense. Edwards heads one wide from close range in the 68th minute before Brody almost scored an own goal here as he basically heads this one backwards, and that Herrera was just in the right place to head that one away. And by the way, this kind of actually came from a weak shot from Alvarez, which kind of bounced onto the ground. And for Brody, I mean, this he kind of got left off the hook, because this would not be a great own goal to score when you basically just mishit a clearance header and basically heads it backwards. And again, Herrera, very fortunate, was in the right place, right time to clear that one off the line. McMath then denied Alvarez again from close range, and you can definitely sense that the Galaxy is not only pressing for the equalizer, but they're knocking on the door to get that equalizer. And this is where we get to the controversy of this game, because in the 92nd minute, Jovic thought that he scored the equalizer for the Galaxy. Although I will say that originally he actually looked toward the linesman thinking that the offside flag was going to come up. Like, he didn't actually celebrate immediately because he was for sure thought that he was in an offside position. And it turns out that was not the case, at least at that point, because then they go to VAR to see whether or not if Jovic, when he brought the ball down, did he actually handball that one and then hits it off the volley. I mean, either way, that was actually a great goal from Jovic, though I don't think if that one would have counted, it would have come close to the goal that Sebastian Ferreira scored earlier for the Houston Dynamo. But nevertheless, it looked like it was a great goal to salvage a point for the Galaxy. And all this time, when we thought that it was going to be a handball on Jovic, it turns out what they were looking for wasn't actually that. I mean, when you look on the replay, I think that, if they were going to look at the handball on Jovic, it would have been very harsh for them to call that, because I didn't really see any definitive evidence to say that they might overturn it. But knowing MLS VAR and how sometimes it become inconsistent, I was not surprised that that one was disallowed. And then when it was disallowed, I was like, okay, yep, seems like we have another typical MLS VAR moment where, I guess something that maybe is in with not enough evidence, maybe the referee and the VAR official might have saw it differently. But what turns out later on, when I read the Reddit thread for this game, it turns out people were pointing out that the one that they were looking for on the VAR screen wasn't because of the Jovic handball, but was actually an offside. That on Williams there. And when I saw the replay a couple of times later, when I watched back the replay of the Twitter stream, now I can understand why that this goal was disallowed, because indeed Williams was actually in an offside position. I mean, I know he didn't play this ball here, but we've seen it before where it doesn't matter if you touch the ball if you're in an offside position. If you're in the vicinity or on the line of the ball that is either going in or coming into the box, or you attempted to try to hit that one in, which clearly Williams was trying to hit that one in, yeah, you're going to be in an offside position. So therefore, that is the reason why the goal, of course, was disallowed. It wasn't because of the Jovic handball that we first thought, or at least what I first thought that was the case. And yeah, in the end, RSL able to win 1-0 in this one. And I guess for the Galaxy, I guess this is, I don't want to say this is karma for what happened in that El Tráfico when they were on the benefit of the VAR call that was in favor of them after LAFC scored a late equalizer. But also, this is kind of like, the old saying, VAR given, VAR taken, because this was exactly the point here. But the shots in this one, 13 shots compared to just 6 that RSL had. 4 shots on goal for both of these teams. 6 shots off target for the 1 that RSL had. 3 shots that was blocked for the 1 that RSL had. And possession-wise, the Galaxy had the better possession, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that RSL has in this game. And, for RSL, a much-needed win, because these last couple of games, it has not gone well for them. They really have started to got themselves back to what we thought that RSL was going to be, which is the team that maybe is going to be on the outside looking in the playoffs. But at least they got a big win in this one against a Galaxy team that all of a sudden they're starting to struggle to score goals. And this is what I worry about the Galaxy in these last couple of games, where when Chicharito is not on, and he definitely was not on in this game. I mean, he was pretty much invincible throughout this game and also in the last game. This team is struggling to score goals, and that's something that they're going to have to figure out either in the summer transfer No, or, I know a lot of Galaxy fans have said that they've been fed up with Kevin Cabral up front, which I don't blame them because, Cabral has definitely been very underwhelming again this season. But there's no doubt the Galaxy's got to address the situation on the attack because, without Chicharito, this team just cannot score goals. I mean, at best, they maybe can score like one goal again without Chicharito, but without him being in form, this team seems like they're going to be in deep trouble going forward on the attack. But that being said, moving on in terms of the last game of the matinee game is Montreal and Atlanta. So I talked about in the preview, both of these teams are heading in opposite direction, with Montreal started to recover from a slow start to the season because of CCL and getting themselves in the playoff position, and Atlanta basically started to fall off a cliff ever since the Joseph Martinez injury. And in this game, it's basically proved that Montreal continue to charge up the Eastern Conference, while Atlanta is stumbling down the Eastern Conference at a rate where they are getting close to fall out of the red line. Now, in the first half, Montreal gets the opening goal. It's Kamal Miller scoring for Mihajlovic to give Montreal a 1-0 lead. The last thing Atlanta needed, consider they are a team that is really struggling to score a goal, and you give up a goal just 4 minutes into the first half. 11 minutes into the first half, Brisa was able to deny Amada from the free kick, and I thought Atlanta did start to press early to try to get that goal that they can see just 4 minutes in. Though Shuttleworth did rob Mihajlovic in the front post in the 26th minute. Like, Mihajlovic was literally on the floor, and somehow he was still able to put enough power to rob Shuttleworth there. Brisa then denied Moreno from the free kick, as, Atlanta, they were looking very dangerous on the free kick. They did have to force Sebastian Brisa to make a couple of saves, but when they are not on the free kick or in a dead ball situation, they look lackluster. Like, they just cannot move the ball quickly whatsoever, and that there's just no final product from this team, which kind of just sums up Atlanta this season, and especially these last couple of games when the goals have just completely run dry for this team. So we head to the second half with Montreal leading 1-0, though Atlanta did get an equalizer as Marcelo Moreno would score to tie the game up at 1 apiece, but immediately Montreal was looking to try to get the lead back after there was a scramble in the Atlanta box that was somehow cleared off the line by Gutman. There was a shout for a penalty for Montreal not given just 3 minutes later. Atlanta, I thought they continued to dominate possession, but it doesn't matter because they can't do anything in the final third, and Montreal was almost like they're just sitting back and hope to go on the counter because they know that Atlanta is not going to threat them with how lackluster they are in the final third. Though, that being said, Montreal did start to create some chances. Kyoto hits the side netting from close range before Wanyama hits it one wide from close range from a corner. And that I mentioned, Montreal, they didn't really get a lot of possession throughout this game, but they kind of started to control possession a little bit and really were looking to try to get the lead back, and they would get the lead back in the 82nd minute as Joaquin Torres would score from Miller to give the lead back for Montreal. So Kamal Miller, what a game he has, not only on the score sheet but also on the assist chart. I mean, not many games you will see a defender able to get on the goal scoring chart and the assist chart in the same game, but that's what Kamal Miller did in this one. Conway then had a diving header that goes wide in the 87th minute before Brisa actually misplayed this one when the ball came into the box, but he really kind of got left off the hook because Atlanta wasn't able to take advantage of that. But still, Atlanta was pressing late for the equalizer. Lennon hits one straight to Brisa, and despite some heavy pressure from Atlanta, Montreal survive and get the 2-1 win in this one. And the shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 12 that Atlanta has. Both teams had 5 shots on goal, 4 shots off target compared to 5 that Atlanta has, 6 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Atlanta has. And possession-wise, Atlanta did have the better of the possession, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Montreal has in this game. But again, it doesn't matter when Atlanta has more of the possession. They couldn't do anything with that possession on the attack for most of the game, and that, Montreal, they, even though this was definitely not one of their better games, they were able to pull out 3 points in this game and at least not repeat what they did in the last game, which is blow a 3-1 lead with a man advantage. And again, with their non-C team, started to really recover after just such a slow start to the season because of CCL and also just repeatedly blowing leads and just collapsing in crucial moment. But like I said, for Atlanta, yeah, they got to figure this out on the attack. Like, this team is really started to heading into to 2020 territory where they just cannot not score on the attack, and they're putting just so much pressure on this defense that, the defense so far this season, I wouldn't say it's been great, but it's definitely the kind of better than mediocre. But it doesn't really matter because, when you can't score, even if you have a defense that is decent, you're not going to win a lot of games. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review for the 4 games that happened in terms of the matinee games of match week number 9 of the Saturday action. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games? And like I said, we got 6 more games coming up on Saturday night. Most likely those games will be reviewed on Monday, because I know tomorrow I have to do something besides going to work in the morning. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.